Hey y'all, it's time to talk about season 5 of Degrassi. In this season, we see two new characters, Peter, who is Principal Hasalaka's son, and Derek, who is Danny's best friend. Jay, who, even though he's been expelled, is always around. And let me just say, he is a life ruiner. Also, Ashley and Craig make a surprise return in the finale. And Marco, Hazel, Paige, Alex, and Ellie all graduate at the end of the season. Our characters go through many ups and downs as per usual, so make sure you are following me so you don't miss a single bit of it because I'm diving in. Now let's talk about Manny in season 5 of Degrassi. This season, she decides that she wants to be an actor and to take it really seriously, so she makes a plan to meet with an agent. Unfortunately, Manny has a bad experience with the agent as she body shames her, and she decides that she's going to get plastic surgery. Of course, her parents find out about it, and her dad ends up kicking her out of the house because of it. And also, Manny goes to a party at Peter's where she has way too much to drink, and then he takes advantage of her like the sleazeball he is and records her topless, and then he sends it to the entire school. Now, there is a part of me that feels bad for Manny. Like, you can tell that she's really trying to focus on what she wants to do with the rest of her high school career and then moving forward after she graduates high school. But unfortunately, she's just making these rookie mistakes, like with the agent. And no, she should not have been drinking as much as she was at Peter's party, but he took advantage of her and was being a super slime ball and sent it out to everyone. And that further tarnished her image at Degrassi. Now, for the rest of the season, we see her living with Emma long term and helping Emma through a very difficult situation, which I will talk about later. Now, the season does end on a high note for Manny because she completely runs the end of the year showcase and it goes really, really well for her. So at least she got some wins with this season. Now it's time to talk about Emma in season 5 of Degrassi. So life around Emma is just completely out of control. Manny is living with her, and of course, we know about everything that happened between her and Peter. And so Manny's just like, we hate Peter. But Emma likes him. Emma tries to get revenge for Manny, but in that process learns some things about Peter that kind of makes her feel bad for him. She understands him. And so she really does start liking him, and they end up sneaking around together. And with their sneaking around, they discover Mr. Simpson and Miss Hasalakos making out. And then Emma forces him to tell her mom, and then her mom kicks him out, and then Emma gets upset that she kicks him out. Now, it was definitely unfair of Mr. Simpson to expect Emma to keep that secret, especially when he had no intentions of telling her mother. But I do take issue with the way Emma went about it. Like, she could have just encouraged them and made a space for them to just have a private conversation about the relationship so Mr. Simpson could tell his wife about the thing. And so they could have a real conversation about their relationship and talk about what led to him doing what he did. And then Nanny is going to have another meeting with that agent, and so she wants to lose a few pounds, and Emma takes it upon herself to create this diet and exercise regimen for both of them. But it gets dangerous when Emma suggests that they start to purge after they've eaten big fatty meals. And at first, Nanny is on board, but after a while, she's like, no, we shouldn't be doing this anymore. And she stops, but Emma keeps going. And eventually, Emma even stops eating completely, and it all turns into an eating disorder. And Manny and Peter take notice and they put their differences aside so they can come together and help Emma and have an intervention for her. And thankfully, by the end of the season, Emma is in a much better place. And I have to say that Manny and Emma's relationship has gone through so many ups and downs that it wouldn't be a surprise if they just ended their relationship. But I am so glad that in moments like these, that they have each other and are there for each other. Now let's talk about Jimmy in season 5 of Degrassi. Jimmy goes through a shift this season as everyone around him is treating him like he once was before and trying to get things back to normal, where he is not the same person that he once was, and he's still dealing with PTSD from the events of last season. Now, Jimmy becomes the assistant basketball coach, and Derek is awful towards him. He is very rude and very disrespectful and does not take Jimmy seriously simply because he's in a wheelchair. And then Jimmy's dad pressures him into trying out for a wheelchair basketball team. And we really start to see how basketball is not a major thing in Jimmy's life as it used to be. And we learn that Jimmy picked up art while he was in PT and in the facility. And with the help of Ellie, he starts to really focus on that. And later in the season, we see that he is commissioned to paint this new mural for the school. Now, Jimmy doesn't get to graduate with his other friends this year, but with Ashley's return, it's looking like next year won't be so bad for him, and it's looking like their relationship is going to be rekindled. So, not too bad of an ending for Jimmy. And now let's talk about Paige in season 5 of Degrassi. In the beginning of the season, Matt, Mr. Oleander, comes back, and Paige is really excited because she thinks that they're going to get back together and spend their future together after she graduates high school. But then he breaks up with her. And thankfully, that is the end of that relationship. Now, Paige and Alex start getting much closer. And when Kevin Smith has his movie premiere, they go and they have a great time and a great night, and they eventually kiss. Now, in the beginning, Paige was very hot and cold about the whole thing, but they do eventually have a conversation and start dating. Now, as unexpected as their relationship may be, I think that they were good for each other and that they did balance each other out. In the end of the season, Paige is really focused on college and just her future, and she tries to get Alex on that same level, but college isn't really something that Alex is in a position to be able to afford at the time. And that kind of like puts a rift in their relationship and they end up breaking up. Now, I know that Paige really cared about Alex, and that's why she was so concerned about her future, but she could have seen it from Alex's perspective and stopped hounding college and banting and all of that on her and just kind of like helped her maybe find a better job than the movie theater so she can start making better money or something like that instead of just like being like, you have no future and I can't be with someone who's like that. It's just kind of unfortunate how their relationship ended. And now let's talk about Craig in season 5 of Degrassi. This season, Craig gets back together with Manny, and it's just whatever. Ellie is right there, but he gets back with Manny. But anyway, Craig focuses on the band and his music more this season, and they end up getting approached by a manager. This manager wants to sign them, and he kind of puts Craig in the forefront in the spotlight. Now, his other bandmates, that upsets them, but they realize that Craig is really passionate about this, and they just tell him to kind of like take the deal as a solo artist, and he does. But then Craig also gets accepted into college with a full scholarship, and so now he has a choice to make. And Craig decides to move across country and take this record deal and focus on his music. And this is the last time that we see Craig until he comes back for the graduation in the season finale. And now it's time to talk about Spinner and Darcy and all of their drama in season 5 of Degrassi. Spinner was completely outcasted from his friends group, and Darcy kind of felt bad for him, took an interest in him, and decided to invite him to Friendship Club. And to Spinner's surprise, Friendship Club is this teen Christian group. And of course, Spinner is shook with the whole thing and goes to the club and they all decide to join hands in prayer. Now, Darcy could have told him the truth about the Friendship Club and hoped that their budding friendship and interest in one another was enough for him to just go check it out. Because Spinner stuck with it and ended up changing his behavior and becoming a Christian. And he ended up patching things up with Marco, too. So there was some good that happened, but unfortunately, there was some bad that happened. Like when Spinner tried to break up Marco's safe sex seminar. And then his relationship with Darcy gets rocky because he lies about his sexual past. And they break up, and then he gets with Paige. And then Darcy takes him back, and he lies about the whole Paige situation, and she finds out, and then they really break up. And Darcy goes away to be a camp counselor, and that's just where we leave them in their relationship. All right, let's talk about Liberty and JT in season 5 of Degrassi. Liberty starts off the year as student council president, but then she finds out that she is pregnant. Yeah, this is like the last person we would expect in this situation, but here we are. It can happen to anybody. And throughout the season, we see her navigating that as she does tell JT, but she keeps it a secret from everyone else, including her parents. Now, unfortunately, they break up, but JT still steps up and says that he's going to be there for her while she is dealing with everything, and he gets a job. And he starts to realize just how much money it's going to cost for them to take care of a baby and possibly get their own place. And then Slimy J comes in and convinces JT to steal a bunch of pills from the pharmacy so he can sell them and so he can make more money. And Liberty finds out about it, and of course, she's very upset about it. And JT does not take it well, and unfortunately, that leads him to just taking a bunch of those pills and ends up in the hospital. And after all of this, and after Liberty tells her parents, she decides that she's going to give the baby up for adoption, and she has the baby, and that's what happens. Now, Liberty has an open adoption, but then she learns that the baby's parents are moving to Seattle, and she does not take it well. She realizes that with them moving so far away, that it's just going to make it even more difficult for her to keep any sort of connection with her child. So she decides to make this box that has items from her and JT and their family so the baby can have a piece of them with him always. And I think that that was a nice ending to that story.